Okay, so you've got a standards check or a part 3 test booked in, perhaps it's only a few weeks away. So how do you start preparing yourself for that so you can go down to the test centre as confident as you can be and feeling like you know what's going to happen and how things generally are going to play out, but still allowing for quite a lot of flexibility. As we talked about in other videos during this course, driving is dynamic. You can't 100% predict what's going to happen, and it's not a great idea to over rehearse and over plan for the lesson that you're going to deliver when you've got an examiner sat in the back of the car. So what you'll see in this video is me delivering basically a standard lesson to Maya, but what I really wanted to do was try to understand where she was at in terms of her current level of sort of ability, confidence and knowledge, and then use the basis of that lesson to then plan what I was going to do with her on the day of my standards check. Also, what I wanted to do is, as much as possible, prepare her for what she was going to experience on the day of my standards check when she had an examiner sat behind her, because I think that's really valuable and critical, because the last thing you want to do is leave your sort of student or candidate high and dry in terms of what they can expect once you arrive at the test centre, when you disappear into the waiting room, or you're having a conversation with the examiner and they're sitting in the car on their own, or perhaps they're in the waiting room on their own, maybe getting a little bit anxious. They don't know how the examiner is going to speak to them, interact with them, what part the examiner is going to play in the lesson, how the drive is going to sort of progress, and then what happens towards or at the end of your part 3 or standards check, because otherwise that's just going to cause them a huge amount of anxiety. So it's really critical that you do prep them carefully, but as I've said repeatedly, don't try to make this over rehearsed. Don't try to tell your student, do this, do that, at this point, on this road, at this time, and when we pull over, this is what I'm going to ask you, and this is what I want you to say, and then I'm going to say this, and then you're going to say that, and then this is what we're going to do next, and then further down the road we're going to pull over, and this is what I'm going to say, and then this is what you're going to say. That is an absolute recipe for disaster. It puts way too much stress on you and way too much stress on them. So watch this video through. I'm sure it's going to make sense, and as always, if you have any comments, leave them in the boxes below, and we'll get back to you ASAP. Okay, cheers. Right, okay, so is there anything in particular you would like to focus on today?
I was thinking about this. It was a bit like, and I'm thinking a bit towards my test. Like, if I was in my test, what would I freak out? have a feeling maybe roundabouts, it's just getting in the right lane, I think, to know what lane you should be in. Like, I know, but I feel like I'd freak and go in the wrong lane and then...
Okay, so, yeah. So is that when being primarily asked to follow route directions, then working out what lane you need to be in?
Yeah, so if it's like, go off the third exit, like I know, but like especially if there's like 2 lanes or 3 lanes, like I know, but I'm a bit like, I feel like I'd just freak out as soon as I like saw them. I'd be like,
okay,
sort of.
right, okay, we'll definitely put that on the top of the priority list then. Anything else at all? Is there any other aspects of your driving that at the moment would like to feel a bit more confident in or about?
I don't know really. I think maybe it is just the roundabouts at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you what then. Let's get on the move. Let's have a drive in towards near where the test centre is. If anything obviously happens en route that we need to add into the plan, then we can. If not, we'll get close to where the test centre is. We may even go into the test centre car park just to park up and have a chat. And I'll see if I can get inside your head a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of what might be causing you that little bit of a challenge in lane selection. Let's see if we can then figure out a plan of how we can put that in place, and then let's go and put some practice in and see if it's helped at all.
Okay.
All right. So move off when you're ready. I'll leave all the driving. Yeah, given that you're pretty much a test standard now, I'm going to leave all the driving up.
Scary.
Well, you are. You know, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're absolutely a test standard, but you're not far off. So, yeah, with just sort of basic standard driving, I'm not really needing, or I don't feel like I need to step in and help you, but I will, as always.
Yeah.
You know, if something's happening, or you got a query, or it looks like things going out of control a little bit, I'll always jump in and help if needed.
Okay.
All right. So at the next roundabout, we're going to be turning left, first exit. Okay, make sure you're bringing that clutch pedal back up again in between gear changes. We're going to go left, first exit.
I didn't put my indicator on. Oh, I'm actually stressed out on myself. Should have put my indicator.
You should have done, you're right.
I never forget that either, usually. Yeah, just remember I'll do that early on, so that at least I have it on.
Next roundabout, we're going to be turning right, following the signs for Huntingdon. So I haven't told you which exit, but I have told you we're turning right, and I've told you the route is Huntingdon. So it's up to you to work out which exit it is from here.
Third.
Okay. Is it safe to move on?
No.
Would it have been safe to move
Yes.
on? Yeah, you can go down.
Oh. One. I'm gonna count it. 2.
Okay, at the next roundabout, can you take the third exit, please? It's empty, no need to stop. Just drive straight. Touch down into third. Okay, drive on. Taking the first road on the left.
Should have slowed down, but now I'm going zooming around. I don't know what I'm
We'll
doing.
have to talk about that in a second. Okay. Slow right down again into first gear. Follow the one-way system round. Turning left here.
So I should- oh, there's a good process.
Yeah. Okay, can you reverse into one of the available parking spaces in front of the test centre building? So it's near where the red bins are. So any of these
Okay.
parking bays on your right. Right, so let's have a little chat then before we decide what to do. What's going on?
I don't know. I think I'm freaking again, and I need to do the planning process in my mind. That's something that I'm really.
So what's causing you to freak?
I think it's just so many cars. You know when you're like, oh, like. I think it's the fear of like when I'm on the roundabout, it's like don't stop, because there's cars around you that are going like 40 all around, and I'm like,
Okay.
I feel like. And I know I'm a learner, so it's all right to go a bit slower, but I sometimes just feel a bit like, oh, they're going to be so annoyed, especially if I have to work.
Okay, so I understand where you're coming from. So let's look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine yourself as a full license holder now.
Okay.
All right. You've been driving for a number of years.
Yeah.
You know the local area. You're probably going a very familiar route. You know what lane you need to be in. You know what exit you're taking, etc., etc. And you're coming up towards another car that's in front of you. And you've read the roundabout nice and early. You can see that it's going to be perfectly safe for the vehicle in front to drive on.
Mhm.
Even maybe there are other vehicles on the roundabout, because you can see they're going to be going off the roundabout and not going across the car that's immediately in front of you. So that vehicle in front would be perfectly fine to just drive straight on.
Yeah.
But they don't, they stop. And then they look. And then they look again. And then eventually they realise that it's safe to move off. Okay?
Yeah.
But up to the roundabout, the driver of that car was going quite fast, wasn't holding the vehicle up, wasn't holding you up, okay, and you were perfectly happy with the speed that they were going, but they've stopped at the roundabout when they didn't need to. Okay, so that's scenario number one. Okay, so given that, how are you now feeling as the driver that's had to stop for that vehicle that stopped when it didn't need to for the roundabout?
Just being safe, I guess.
Well, yeah.
I mean, obviously, the thing is, like, I feel like some people get frustrated though, 'cause it's like they can see what's going on, so they're like, they could have just gone. Why did they not go?
Okay, so now let's look at scenario number two. So you're driving behind a vehicle, you're both going at a similar speed down the main road, and then the car in front starts to slow down a little bit earlier than you would normally. Okay, and it continues to slow down, it continues to slow down, it continues to slow down as it's coming towards the roundabout, and then it just drives straight on and off.
Okay, yeah.
Is that going to annoy you as the person that's following that car? Or are you going to be, I suppose, satisfied, if you like, that that car has spotted a gap and they've gone?
Yeah.
So would it be more annoying to stop behind a vehicle that didn't need to stop, or slowing down with a vehicle that was able to then hit a gap and continue to drive?
Oh, the first one's going to be way more annoying.
Yeah. So now let's translate that back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's happening at the moment is you're rushing up to the roundabout way too fast. You're not giving yourself enough time to look at the information that's going to be important to you. You're missing obvious gaps that you could just drive straight into, and then you're stopping unnecessarily. Then the stress is kicking in because you realise you've got vehicles behind, plus you've then got the stress of looking at the vehicles that are coming around perhaps towards you, and you're thinking, oh my God, so I've got people behind, people to the side, people over there, people over there, people over there. There's people everywhere.
Yeah.
And now life gets massively stressful because your brain is being flooded by all of these other drivers in these vehicles that you're looking at. Okay, so what we need to do is just get you looking at the world from a different point of view.
Yeah.
So if we get you slowing down more and more and more, get to the give way line at the roundabout, and just to remind you, look at gaps more than you look at vehicles, then what you'll normally find, hopefully we'll put this into practice in a moment, is as you're driving up to the roundabout, you go, okay, there's not going to be a gap, oh, gap, go.
Yeah.
And you won't need to, the majority of the time, you won't need to stop.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
So, how are we going to get you to have the confidence of using this technique? Because I can promise you it's going to work, but it is a bit of a confidence thing. Okay, but once you see it, and we have done this before, but obviously we need to have a bit of a refresher of it. So, given that it's a confidence thing, would it make more sense to you to do this initial next burst of practice in that seat, or would you prefer to get your brain working in this seat and get me worrying about how to control the car?
Maybe if I sit in that seat, because I know last time we did a lesson we did the right hand turns, and after I sat in that and came back in this seat, it changed, like something, I'd got a lot more confidence from just watching someone else do it. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So I'll do a network of roundabouts to begin with. I'll talk you through what I'm doing, okay? So where I'm looking, what I'm looking at, what I'm thinking, how I'm using that information.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is particularly notice how I'm bringing the speed of the car down the closer and closer and closer we get to the roundabout, unless it's totally obvious to me, as it will be to you, that the roundabout's completely empty.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to ask you to talk me through some roundabouts. Okay. So I'm turning right here, and then I'm following the signs for Ring Road. Okay, so if you look from here, you can actually see the sign that says Ring Road.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where my planning starts, not when I get to the give way line. It starts here. Okay. So now I'm letting people know where I'm going. Now I'm bringing that speed down. There's going to be a lovely gap after that grey car that's passed, so I just put a little burst of speed in and I'm gone.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be following the signs for Ring Road again. Okay, so part of my job as a driver is to look out for route directions. So I can see there's a roundabout sign coming up on the left.
Yeah.
Ring Road is off to the left. I want to plan from back here though, so I'm going to check, let people know where I'm going. Now I'm just going to keep dropping that speed into second gear, keep dropping it, and the moment it doesn't look like there's going to be a gap, so I drop it into first, there's still no gap, so I'm just holding back here, looking to see when the next gap's coming up. That blue car's going off, there's a gap, I can drive into it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously I spotted the black car that's now behind me, but I wasn't looking at that car and going, oh, I'm worried about you. All I'm going is, oh, there's a nice gap there.
Yeah.
Go. Now the busier the roundabout gets, typically the slower you have to go, because the gaps might not be quite so obvious. But often, even with busy roundabouts, if you slow down enough and you plan enough, then quite often you'll find a gap, a nice safe gap that you can just drive straight into.
Yeah.
But it does require you to look and to think about where those gaps are. So I'm going to go right here at this roundabout, following route directions for Hull. So I'm going to start planning from back here. Okay. If we look over to my right, you can see there's a lot of traffic coming from the right. There's also traffic over the other side of the roundabout.
Yeah.
I've got a car immediately in front of me. So now I'm slowing down. Is there going to be a gap that I can just drive into? Can't with these two vans. Okay, but I might be able to go after them depending on, oh, that grey car, they're going off.
Yeah.
Those cars to the right are sitting still.
Yeah.
Just drive on. Yeah. Had I have rushed up to that roundabout, there's no way I would have had time to suck in all of that information and to work out what to do. And that would have then caused me to stop. And then life gets a lot more challenging because my brain is then getting flooded with all of the vehicles that I'm looking at,
Yeah.
and that's when those gaps start to disappear.
Yeah.
Is this making sense? It's starting to bring it back to you,
Yeah.
what we've covered off in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah? Cool. The next roundabout's a bit of a weird one. I'll just remind you of how you need to position for the route that you're going to be following. So when you're driving this, you may well come down this road and you may be asked to follow route directions for York. If you are, this is how you do it. But again, if you're not sure of yourself, take it slow. Okay. So if we have a look at the roundabout signs, we can see York, it's the first roundabout, it's off to the right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you remember what you did at Grimston Bar roundabout, to begin with, you turned too early, and we had to go all the way round the roundabout again.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a similar situation here, although it's a much smaller roundabout. We're taking the next exit, which is off there, which means as we pull forward, we need to get on the outside edge of the roundabout.
Okay, yeah.
Because if we get on the inside, in order to take our exit, we'd have to cut across other lanes of traffic. Okay, so I'll just highlight, see where the camper van is now, and the car behind that. I want to get behind them. Now I can move on because the lights are green. Now don't worry about sticking out into the road, okay? All right, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not holding anybody up.
Okay.
This is the only place you can be, sensibly. Okay, if I got myself over there, then I'm in the wrong lane. Okay, so now, like you did at Grimston Bar roundabout, you hold the outside lane. Keep holding the outside lane, and then you exit.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, at the end of this road is a roundabout. When we get there, we're going to be turning right, following the signs for Monk's Cross. Okay. So I'll tell you when to start talking me through what to do. So start planning, talk yourself through what to do when we get to the 40-mile-an-hour sign.
Okay. So you're going to want to start dropping your speed.
Okay.
There.
What lane?
Right lane.
Okay.
So you're going to want to put a right indicator on as well.
Done that.
Keep dropping your speed.
Doing that. Which gear?
Second.
Okay. Doing
Now, and
that.
keep looking for a gap.
Is there going to be one?
There is, yeah. Oh, that's actually really good.
You sounded surprised that it was so easy
I think it was
to make that decision.
I think it's because before, like you said, I was looking at the vehicles, I wasn't looking at the gaps. And now that I've started looking at the gaps, it's like, oh, it's actually...
The gaps become far more obvious, don't they? Okay. So, yeah, as a driver, you always want to look at what you want to hit. Now, of course, we don't want to hit vehicles.
Yeah.
So we don't look at vehicles. We don't look at pedestrians. We don't look at cyclists. We look at the space around them. Because that's what we want to hit. We want to hit space. We want to hit thin air. Okay. But of course, in order to find that space, you need to drop your speed to give you time to do that. So we're going to do it again at this next roundabout. Again, we're going to be turning right, following the signs for Ring Road. So start the planning here.
Okay. So you want to start wanting to drop your speed down and put a right indicator on.
Done that.
Start looking for gaps from that gear, go into second gear.
Doing that.
And once you see, you can go.
Okay, the next roundabout, you can be taking the first exit. Start to plan from back here.
So you're going to want to start dropping your speed down, putting your left indicator on, and go into second gear, looking out for a gap from back here, and there is a gap.
The look of wonder on your face is amazing.
When you start looking for the gaps and not the vehicles, there's so much just so much space around you. You're like,
what else was helping? And I've mentioned it a few times. So it's not a trick question. in the way that I was controlling the car, what else was giving you the time to look for those gaps?
Dropping speed down.
That's it. It's no more complicated than that. It's not like I've got some magic superior higher level driving ability than everybody else on the road, or you. In order to help you out, all I did was brought my speed down to give you time to look. But of course the same will apply to yourself. If you bring your own speed down, you'll find those gaps. Yeah, and you'll find the roundabout's much easier to read. Now of course, if you have to stop, you have to stop. And as an inexperienced driver, there may well be times when you would stop when somebody else would go.
Yeah.
All right, don't worry about that, okay? You're not going to be criticised by an examiner for not taking a small gap. Where you will pick up driving faults and potentially fail your test is if you race up to a roundabout and you stop. And then you look, there was a lovely big gap that you could drive into, which you've missed, but now you're looking at vehicles and your brain is getting confused and there's still a gap that you can drive into.
Okay, yeah.
But you carry on sitting there and watching.
Yeah.
And then you watch one vehicle go off and then another vehicle go off and then another vehicle go off and then the car behind's beeping you because they're looking at a roundabout that they know you could easily drive into and you're not doing it. That's when it starts to trip over into what we call undue hesitation.
Okay, yeah.
All right? And those are the things that you want to avoid. But, you know, if you're coming up to a roundabout, it is very busy and you're not totally confident that there's going to be a safe gap to drive into, then stop and then keep looking for those gaps.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right, let's give it a go. See. Okay, so when we get out onto the main road, I'm going to give you route directions to follow. In terms of, I'm not going to make it complicated for you. Okay, I'm saying, we're going to be going first exit Ring Road, fourth exit Hull, whatever it might be. Okay. Other than that, now you've looked at things from this seat, do you feel like that's given you enough to work with for you to be able to put that into practice for yourself? Or to begin with, do you want me, if you like, to give you the commentary that you can listen to get you to do things the way that I was doing?
Yeah, maybe that. Just for like the first one or two, and then.
Okay,
just
that's
fine. Because I know what to do. It's just maybe just a little bit of guidance, and then.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'm not going to tell you anything different to what I was doing. Okay. So. Okay, we're going to do the same route at roundabouts that I did. Not that I'm expecting you to remember what that was, but we're going to turn right here and then we're going to be following directions for Ring Road. So we're going to start the planning from here. Okay, so have a check, let people know where you're going, read the roundabout. Lovely gap, accelerate into it. Beautiful.
That was alright.
Right, okay, so we're still following the signs for Ring Road. Okay, have a look at the roundabout sign from back here. Which exit is it?
First.
Okay. Starts a plan from back here. Okay. You start to slide into second gear. Start to look for gaps. What do you think? Is there going to be a gap that you can accelerate into?
Yeah.
Go for it. There you go.
Oh.
Is that starting to feel easier and calmer?
Yeah. It is.
And there's only two things that you've changed from what you were doing before. One is you're slowing down earlier
Yeah.
and more, and then the other thing is you're looking at gaps, not vehicles.
Yeah. It's so much better when you look at the gaps.
Okay, now the next roundabout normally is busier. So,
Oh yeah, I don't like this one.
well, if we need to stop, we'll stop.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I'll give you a little bit of support, but you're still going to be ultimately the one that's making the decision. So, I'm going to go right, fourth exit.
Okay.
Start your planning from back here. Keep reading it. Keep reading it. Keep looking for those gaps. Where's that red car and the grey car going?
Can I go after there?
Well, what do you think?
No. After this grey one, I can.
Yeah. That's it. That was the first clear gap that you had.
Yeah.
No undue hesitation there whatsoever. Had I been driving, I may have gone for a gap a little bit earlier. Okay, but then I've got 40 years more driving experience than you.
Yeah.
And I've driven this car for thousands and thousands of hours, and I know instinctively how fast I can accelerate.
Yeah.
Alright? So I wouldn't expect you or anybody with your level of experience driving a car that isn't totally familiar to you to take the same gaps that I would take.
Yeah.
So that was your first clear opportunity to go.
Yeah. Because I think as I arrived there was a car and it was like a small gap and I could have gone in.
Yeah, but it was a small gap.
Yeah, I didn't want
you would have had to have been very confident
risk it.
driving to be able to take that. Okay, we're going to be turning right at the next roundabout, following route directions for York. So can you remember how to position yourself?
Yes.
Right, okay. So again, as long as the lights are green, you should be able to drive straight through, but then you need to prepare for the next set of lights because they might be on red. Bring that clutch pedal back up again. Okay, don't worry about stopping in the traffic here. Okay, turning right here.
I just realised I should have had an indicator, sorry. I think that was a bit of a, I don't know why I forgot the indicator.
It would have helped if you'd have done it a little bit slower in second gear as well. Do you feel like the lights, the actual traffic lights, had a little bit of...
Yeah, they were a bit, because I didn't know if they were going to
confusion,
go or not. Yeah, it was a bit...
Next roundabout we're going to be turning right, following route directions for Monk's Cross. Okay, it's a fourth exit, and as I did, as you get to the 40-mile-an-hour sign, you start planning. Even though you can't see the roundabout, start planning from back here.
Yes, after this car, yeah.
Okay. right at the next roundabout, Ring Road again. And I like that little burst of speed there.
Oh, where am I going off, sorry?
Ring Road.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's keep driving. Let's keep doing these roundabouts. Now I want to throw in one added thing into the mix. Okay, and that is make the first thing you do as you're approaching a roundabout, look behind. Check your mirrors.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So Ring Road again at this roundabout. So check first. Look in your mirrors now. Now put an indicator on, and now everything else is exactly the same.
Am I going? Yeah, I am.
Yeah, going right, Ring Road. Yeah. Clutch down first gear. Yeah, because you literally come to a stop.
Yeah. I just realised.
Okay. So let's just get these mirror checks in nice and early, so you've got plenty of time to then do the rest. Okay, so we're going to vary the route now. At the next roundabout, we're turning right, following the exit for York. Okay, right, so look from back here. Right, now everything else is the same. Just do exactly what you've been doing up until now.
Is it this one?
It's the next exit. And then look out this window. Just make sure there's nobody next to you. Same reason as we pointed out on the dual carriageway when I said have a little look over to your left or your right.
Yeah.
If anybody might be sitting in your blind spot. We're going to turn left, first exit.
Okay.
So pick a point on the road now where you think it will make sense for you to start planning for the roundabout, so you've got everything in and under control by the time you get to the giveaway line. So show me by looking behind when you think that planning should start.
Is it here?
Yeah.
Is it first next?
Yep. Think about how you can adjust your road position for the lane that you want. This is great control.
Can I get? Yeah, I can get through that.
Yeah, now I'd speed up a little bit and go into second, because if there is a gap there, yeah, you want that burst of speed so you can take it. can't see, don't go. Again, if the car next to you goes, don't go with them unless you know it's safe yourself.
Oops, go. Go, mate, go. Was that the right place to go?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I saw, as the cars like were moving, I could see there was a gap coming.
Yeah. If the exception to the rule, if you've got a very, very large vehicle next to you, like a lorry or a bus or something like that, and you're turning left and they're going straight on or turning right, go when they go.
Yeah.
Because they're completely blocking the path of anybody coming round to the right. So even though you can't see anybody, it's totally safe for you to drive on.
Yeah.
If it's a car or a van, a much faster moving vehicle, wait until you can see it's clear yourself.
Yeah.
And when you go right at this roundabout, third exit. Slow down a bit more into first then.
Okay.
That's it. Have a look at where these vehicles are going. Yeah, so sometimes there just isn't a gap. Yeah. At that moment in time, we can't drive on, so we just stop, be patient, wait. Nice checks. Next roundabout, you're going to be taking the second exit. Okay. It is off to the left, but it's the second exit, not the first.
Okay. So do I need to put an indicator on for this?
Not now, but you will do once you've got onto the roundabout.
So I need to put, is it that one?
That's it. That's it. Yeah, because if you put an indicator on the approach to the roundabout, what are the other vehicles behind and on the roundabout going to think in terms of where you're going?
All the way to the third exit? Wait, if I put a...
If you put a left indicator on...
Oh, but I'm going to go first exit, yeah.
And then you don't. And then that confuses people. So we're going to do the same here. Okay, if you have a look at the roundabout sign, we're going to take the second exit, signposted for York.
Okay.
Okay, so again, we don't signal on the approach, but we will signal once we've entered the roundabout.
What lane?
Which lane says York?
Oh, this one.
Okay, so again, look for gaps. If you can't see, don't go.
Okay. Is that one over there?
Yep. Okay, keep looking for gaps, but again, if your view gets blocked, sometimes you can see through cars.
Oh no.
Sometimes you can see through windows of cars, and that's okay. If you can see through and it's clear, then you can go with them.
Might be clear after this.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, go with them. That's it.
And then signal for this.
That's it. Now build up speed rapidly. Right, so I think as a consequence of what we've been doing today, we've probably got our little plan for Tuesday.
Yeah.
As a result, because I think what we need is just a little bit more practice on those roundabouts, just hopefully to get you to the point where you're feeling quite confident in doing it for yourself consistently without any support or guidance from me.
Yeah.
Okay. All it is going to be though is just basically putting into practice what you've been practicing today.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just to highlight, let's just set the scene for Tuesday, because whilst it is a standard lesson, at the same time it isn't.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're going to have somebody else in the car with us.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bit weird for
Yeah.
you, particularly. Okay. They also happen to be called an examiner. Alright. So, let's recognise it for what it is. I don't know one way or the other how this is going to play out, but when you've got the examiner sat behind you, which is where they will be sat, even though I can promise you and absolutely assure you and guarantee you, they are not there to judge you.
Yeah.
They are there to assess me. Alright, so they're never going to be critical of your driving.
Yeah.
So you could drive like a complete numpty, alright, and they're not going to criticise you for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the pressure is on me, not on you.
Okay.
That said, I've done this a few times over the years, and it's not untypical for the person that's driving the car, you in this case, to drive differently to how they would normally drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't worry about the way that you drive. My job is to adapt what I do to support you in the way that you're driving at that moment, not necessarily how you regularly drive.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the things that I will do when the examiner is in the car, and they'll introduce themselves, and they'll be very friendly and they'll be polite. They'll say, my name is whatever. Understand your wire, is that correct? Okay, so first of all, thank you for allowing me to sit in on your lesson. I'm sure Jeff's already explained to you, but just let me reassure you, I'm not here to assess your driving today. I'm going to be sat in the back. I won't be participating in the lesson in any way, shape or form. I'm just there to observe how the lesson is being delivered.
Yeah.
Alright. So just try to ignore me, forget that I'm there. Okay. That said, when they're in the car and they're behind you, I'm going to check in with you, and I'm going to ask you to be honest with me on how you're feeling now they are sat behind you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. And be honest. If your anxiety levels are going up, then tell me.
Yeah.
All right, because that's a cue for me to then say, right, okay, so this is what we were going to do, but given that you're now feeling pretty stressed and anxious, and I totally understand why.
Yeah.
To begin with, would you like me to give you a lot more support than I would normally?
Yeah, I see, yeah.
Yeah, and then you can say yes, and then I'll go, right, okay, well, let's stick with the original plan of working on these roundabouts, but maybe for the first 3 or 4 roundabouts, how about if I talk you through every one?
Yeah.
Then I'll watch and see how you're getting on with your driving, and if it looks like your nerves have settled down and you're telling me you're feeling more relaxed, then we can try and get back towards you doing these roundabouts independently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, if you are feeling completely fine with the examiner sat behind you, and you feel like you can drive up to your normal standard, then great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't try to give me a false reading, if you like, based on what you think the examiner will want to hear.
No, yeah. That's fine, yeah. I probably will be quite anxious, I think, because it is someone else in the car.
Yeah. That's fine, as I say, I could, because I'll have a little chat with them to begin with, before the test, before the lesson gets started.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say to them, that you're doing really well in your driving, you're making great progress. We went out for a session today. This is what we practiced, this is what happened, and on the basis of that, this is what we both think would make a sensible plan for us to do today.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like this.
Okay. Depending on what other vehicle you're looking at next, if you find to come around, you can come around the park cars, you're going to be fine, as long as there's not a lorry or a tractor or something like that coming the other way.
Oh.
So I'll give them an idea of what we are intending to do.
Yeah.
But if you then say to me, oh, actually, no, I'm feeling pretty stressed now. I didn't think I would, but I am.
Yeah.
I'll go, fine. That's okay. Are you all right to stick with the original lesson plan if I jump in and give you more support to begin with? Or would you prefer to go off and do something that you feel is going to be a lot less stressful for you?
Yeah.
If right at the beginning we have to change the lesson plan, that's fine. Even though I've told literally the examiner minutes beforehand that we're trying to work towards getting you independent at roundabouts. If we end up just going and doing basic left and right hand turns because you've dissolved into a bit of a bag of nerves, then that's fine. Because they'll understand why we're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What they don't want to see is you turning around to me going, "Yep, I'm fine. I'm feeling really good. So let's do what we're planning on doing, working towards me getting more confident with these roundabouts." And then as we start to pull away out of the car park, you're rolling back doing a hill start, or you're kangarooing because your nerves have got to you.
Yeah.
The outside world seems to have disappeared. You're not checking your mirrors and doing all those sorts of things. But for me to just carry on and go, okay, well that's fine. You're driving like a total novice again, but let's ignore that because we're going to go and do roundabouts, because they'll know that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So we just go with the flow, really. Just whatever happens, happens.
Okay.
Yeah, and as I say, the pressure's on me to tune into you.
Yeah.
As you're driving on that day at that time.
Yeah.
And if you do go back to needing a lot more support from me, then I know it's only going to be for that particular lesson.
Yeah.
Because it isn't a normal lesson. And I know what your normal driving standard is.
Yeah.
But I can't turn around to the examiner and go, look, I know she drove really, really poorly today, but promise me, I promise you her driving's normally a lot better than that. Because the examiner's going to turn around and say, well, I don't care about that. All I care about is the fact that we've nearly had 3 accidents whilst we've been out on the road. Again here, just plan for where you're going to stop and how you're going to stop.
I'll just stop here.
You can do it.
Why do I do that? I've not stopped properly. Just so make noises.
It's all right. You make as many noises as you like.
I've not stopped very well, to be honest.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm a little bit out, maybe. But...
Well, yeah. If you're aiming for absolute perfection,
Well, yeah.
No, you're absolutely fine, honestly. No problem at all stopping like you are. All you're really concerned about is, have I left enough room for people to get through?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, the way that I've stopped, is it obvious that I'm parked up?
Yeah.
Okay, because if you leave your vehicle too far away from the edge, then it gets confusing to people that are coming towards you from behind or in front, because it looks like you're in a driving position, not a parked position.
Yeah.
And then that may well cause them to start to slow down because they're not quite sure what you're going to be doing next. And if you were to leave your car like that, then they'll get alongside you and then there's nobody in your car and then they slow down unnecessarily. So you just park up so it's obvious to other people what it is that you're doing or what you have done.
Yeah.
Okay, so overall thoughts from today's practice then?
I'm happy with the end result of it. Like, I think it needs a bit more practice.
Just needs a little bit of polishing, really.
Yeah, but from what it was at the beginning to the end, I think it's quite, I'm quite happy with it now. Like,
and it's only drawing you back to what you've covered off before, really. I think just given that you've had a little bit of a layoff, and obviously you had a busy time with your exams and whatnot. I think some of that learning has just faded away into the background.
Yeah.
So it just needs to bring it back into sharp focus, really. But it works.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it will continue to work. But it just needs a little bit more practice so that we can get that consistency going.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.